broadcasting our demonstration for December. So it is December 8th, and this is the last open studio night of the year with the SiNaCa Studios team. Now, if you guys missed the beginning of this demonstration night, we did light our tree, and we've left that recording up for you guys. So if you're interested in going back and watching that, super duper fun to watch the tree getting lit up. That recording is up on our Facebook and YouTube pages right now, so you can go check it out. Now, we've started a tradition last year of making a snow globe with every passing year. So every year we're going to make a different kind of snow globe. So the team is working on getting this snow globe together. You can see that Nick is on a torch preparing one of the parts that's going to go into this snow globe. The theme for this snow globe is kind of a desert theme. So we're gonna be doing a melty snowman, we're gonna have sand, kind of a desert scene, some little cacti. And so Nick is working on the snowman face right now. And the team in the hot shop is working on getting the base kind of started. Now, we've prepped a bunch of parts, we put a bunch of parts away in a hot box, and it's gonna be kind of assembled in this demonstration. So Clifton in his hands has got this big old bubble. That bubble is a black color. He's gonna be prepping this base. And then we're gonna stick everything to that base. So let me show you guys what the last year's, the one we made last year looks like this. So this was the this was the one that we made last year. And so you can see it's kind of hollow in the bottom. That's what Clifton's kind of got going on right now. It is basically a bubble. And then we're gonna attach all the components on the inside. This one's gonna be a desert scene. And then this globe will get put on at a later date. Thanks, Kevin. So, Tatara, I think right now, let me see what she's prepping. What are you prepping, Tatara? The snowman. So Clifton is gathering out of our 2100 degree furnace right now. You can see that the glass is super gooey and liquid at this temperature. We keep the glass in this furnace at 2100 degrees pretty much all the time. It is a clear pot of glass, which makes it easy to gather out of and make things larger. So the steel of the pipe gets hot, which is why you saw Clifton kind of cooling things off. He's using a wet wooden block to shape everything into kind of like a Q-tip shape. Now this is the basic shape we start with for a lot of things. You'll notice that he goes into a reheating chamber kind of pretty frequently in order to add heat back into the glass. And at this point he's covering the glass with what we call frit, which is crushed up color. Now I believe this color is black. That's gonna be the base.
Thanks for coming, you guys. Happy holidays.
So you guys, we are going to be demonstrating and making this piece for another hour, hour and a half. So please, if you're local, come on down. We've got a giant group of people here, and we're going to be working until maybe around 8 or 8:30. So Tatara's working on the snowman head, and Nick is going to be adding some of the details to it. So Kevin's giving us a super great viewpoint. Now Nick is taking the glass into the flame shop, and we're going to follow him in there. He's going to be adding all of the little details. He's going to be adding all of the little details to the snowman face. Now you guys, if you aren't familiar with SiNaCa Studios, we are a nonprofit and we have several ways of working with glass. So you guys can come and learn how to work with what you're seeing here, which is flame working. So Nick is adding all these details on a torch, which is pretty amazing because you can get a ton of detail in a tiny amount of space. But earlier we were watching the team work in the hot shop. We do teach classes in both areas. And of course, if you decide that you're really not a fan of the heat, but you still want to play with glass, we do offer classes in kiln forming and cold working as well. Both of those are cool processes, so you're not working directly with the heat. And it's a nice way to play with glass if you are interested in it. So you guys, if you're interested, come on out. We've got Santa on the lot. So Santa came to visit and people are taking photos with him. We've got hot chocolate and cookies available for anyone who wants to come by. And then of course, hot glass demos. So come in and check us out. We've got quite an awesome group of people hanging out here tonight with us. So Nick is putting all the detail of the snowman on the face there. And if you are kind of interested in checking out what we do, what our classes look like, how you can get involved with us, go to our website, SiNaCastudios.org. We've got tons of information on our website. If you're local, you can also pop into our studio and come hang out with us, chat with us in the gallery, and get to know what we do as an organization. We do a bunch of stuff in the community, but we also teach classes and things like that as well. So if like glass making is on your bucket list and you want to come play with some glass, definitely check out our website. There's a classes tab on there, and under that classes tab are tons and tons and tons and tons of different classes that you can come and check out. Now I mentioned that SiNaCa Studios also does a bunch of work in the community. So if you are interested in some of our free public programming, you're going to find that also online. This open studio night is actually brought to you through one of our grants and is offered to the public completely free. So if you're interested in coming and participating and watching, bringing your kiddos out to watch our demonstrations, bring them out. We do this on the second Friday of every month. It's totally free, and we bring a new artist in, or our team will demo once a month. It's really a wonderful way to experience something new. you can see that a bunch of different things are happening simultaneously. Nick is kind of working in the flame shop, and then this team is working in the hot shop a little bit. Now, ultimately, because this is a bigger piece, this piece is going to be assembled in the hot shop. So Clifton is putting in a jack line. He's shaping this piece up. You'll notice that he's using a variety of tools. Right now, newspaper and a set of jacks to shape the glass as well as put a constriction in. This constriction is going to be where the glass breaks free from that steel pipe. Now we're working on a blowpipe. This isn't solid glass, even though it looks like it. What we can't see off camera is that Krista is blowing into the pipe while Clifton's shaping it. So every so often, giving it some air to inflate it. And then Clifton is putting in that constriction so that eventually we can break this piece free from the blowpipe. Now, just like ceramic artists use water to make sure that they keep just like ceramic artists make sure that they have to keep the clay material wet as they're working, glass artists have to keep the material hot as they're working. So you'll notice that very often Clifton is going back into the reheating chamber to heat up the glass so that he can continue to shape it. Now we're going for a pretty specific shape. You'll notice that the glass makers are using tools to shape the glass. Tatara's got this wooden paddle that she's flattening with. And as Clifton is turning, he's shaping the sides of the piece with the blades of the jacks. This is super cool. So as you can imagine, the material is very hot. You're not going to be able to touch that material with your hands. So glassmakers use a variety of tools to get the piece into the shape they want. You'll notice as Clifton is working and Krista is working, they're constantly turning their hands. Glass is super liquidy and susceptible to gravity. So again, you guys, feel free to come by if you're local to the area. We've got a number of people hanging out with us tonight. There's free hot cocoa, cookies. Santa is here. You can come take a photo with Santa.
Now you're on YouTube.
So definitely bring your kids by. We've got a bunch of kids in the glass blowing studio tonight. It is super kid friendly. If you're wondering what to do with the kids on a Friday in the month, this is totally a free event. Come hang out with us on the second Friday of every month. Now you guys, I know that some of you are probably waiting a long time to shop around for gifts for your family and your friends for Christmas and the holidays. If you are waiting and you're procrastinating on your gift list, do keep in mind that SiNaCa Studios has the ability to help you fulfill your wish list. So if you are thinking you might want to come by and pick up a gift card or something holiday themed from your local glassmaking facility, we've got a ton of options for you guys. And we're running a special on gift cards where if you spend over $100, you get a percentage off. So you can check out our website for details on that. That is a really nice thing to take advantage of over the holidays. Get your favorite person a gift card. They can come and spend it on glass items. They could come and take a class with us. There's tons and tons of ways to hang out and support local shop small this season. So you guys, we are monitoring the chat. If you guys have any questions about anything that's going on today during our demonstrations, feel free to put your questions in the chat. So this is a big blob of glass that's going on top of the black, and we're basically going to make this look like sand. So we're making a Christmas desert scene, and we've got a bunch of frit that Krista just put on the marber. That's kind of sandy looking. So Clifton's gonna press into that, and that's gonna give it a little bit of like a sandiness to that blob of glass that we put on there. Now, as you can see, the glassmaking studio is very much a team sport. There's a number of people involved. And everyone's kind of working together to get this thing to happen. It's pretty cool. So Clifton is using what we call a tag, and he's kind of sculpting the glass around. And then this is the part where we're going to attach a bunch of things to this section of the piece. So we put that blob on. We've made it look a little sandy by adding that little bit of sandy frit texture. And then Clifton and Krista are sort of planning where the pieces are going to go. So we're going to get to watch them put this thing together now. got the base kind of done. It looks like Clifton is doing some final touches, making sure that base looks good. And then we're getting pretty close to assembling the components that we prepped ahead of time. Now, I know that you guys haven't seen all of those components that we've had that we have ready to go, because you guys weren't here when we were preparing all of the cacti and the little snowmen and things like that. So this will be a cool surprise for you guys. Now that's a beautiful heat Krista's got in that wrap that she brought Clifton. This is the decorative bit that is going to go around the base. All of these beautiful snow globes have little decorative bases. So this beautiful little trail bit is going to add a little bit of decoration to this base. Now you guys, if you are not in town or you're missing our demo tonight, this is going to be our tradition. We're going to make a new snow globe every year in December. And it's going to be themed to something completely different. Now, if you're just tuning in and you haven't seen what we've done so far and you didn't see me show everyone the snow globe we made last year, you can stay tuned. This live stream will cut at the end and then will be saved on our Facebook and YouTube pages, so you can go back and watch it. So don't hesitate if you have any questions throughout this process, you're curious about glass making, you have any questions you want me to pass on to our studio team, feel free to put them in the chat. We are checking out the chat, monitoring the chat, and we can answer your questions as we go. Now say you're not a glass maker, you're not interested in working with this spicy honey, you can also come buy some glass. It makes a really, really lovely gift. It makes a lovely experience for someone else. So if you have a special someone that you want to treat this winter, or maybe you want to treat in the future for a birthday or something like that, this is a very special experience for them. So if you're in the area, you live in the DFW Metroplex, come on down. Pop in and say hello. You never know, you could maybe check something off your bucket list, but you also might pick up a new hobby. Or maybe even a career, just like we have. So you guys, I know we're watching a demonstration tonight, but don't forget that Santa is on our lot right now. So if you want to come take pictures with Santa, he's hanging out. And lots of people are coming and taking pictures with him. People and their kiddos, people are bringing their puppies. So come take a picture with Santa while we have him here. We've also got a bunch of hot chocolate, we've got cookies. So bring your family and hang out. For those of you who aren't familiar with SiNaCa Studios, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we do teach a bunch of classes. We teach a bunch of classes, we've got a gallery on site, we do a bunch of events for fundraising throughout the year. We also do events in the community. So things like this, which are free public demonstrations, are brought to you guys through grants. Super awesome. We do it once a month, so you guys can come and check it out once a month. We do a demonstration free to the public. This one tonight is actually very, very special because we do our tree lighting once a year. And that is a tradition that was passed on to us from Jim Bowman, who is an artist who lived in this area for a very, very long time. I believe he's out in North Carolina right now, but we definitely owe him for that tradition that he's passed on to us. Hopefully we can keep it alive and make him proud. Man, Krista's bringing some beautiful trail bits tonight. Beautiful.
I say that because I have one, trust me. Shot in your stomach, don't feel good.
Now these bits that are going on the glass, these are gonna be the decorative parts. So we were talking about that earlier. The bottom of snow globes have these decorative trails on them, just to make them a little extra fancy. Now glass is super hot, as you guys saw. Krista made that bit really, really hot, brought it, and it stretched quite a ways. So Clifton can't use his hand. He can't touch it or shape it with his hand. He's got to use steel tools and manipulate the glass with the tools. So the team's kind of talking about where they're going to place these objects on the piece. And then glass has got this delicate balance, right? So when we're looking at what Clifton's doing, you're seeing him going in and out of this reheating chamber. He's kind of making sure the glass doesn't get too cold. Now, we don't want it to get too cold because when glass gets too cold, it tends to crack or break. But if we get it too hot, everything's gonna get soupy and weird and lose its texture. So we can't do that either. And so there's this delicate balance that Clifton is trying to manage, which is making sure that he stays not too hot and not too cold. As he's working, you can see wherever Krista's torching, the glass is glowing like it's a little extra hot. And then it loses its color as it gets cooler. So it takes a ton of experience to get used to knowing when the glass is a little too hot, a little too cold. But if this is something you're interested in as a hobby or even potentially a career, definitely come check us out. We've got classes that are multi-week classes that are designed to kind of train you to be able to do that and get a sense of how to manage heat better. So like I was saying before, this is totally a team sport. If you watch real close, you can see how the team's communicating with each other. They're sort of working together. They're talking things through with each other to make sure that they're all on the same page, that they know what's happening, even though Clifton is the main person at the bench. So Clifton is what we call the gaffer, which is the person who is in charge of the piece, who's making the piece, who is the main person. And the gaffer generally has assistants who are supporting them throughout the making of the piece. But nothing happens without good communication. So they're all talking about how the piece is going to be made, what the next steps are, where things are going to get placed, things like that. So you guys, if you haven't come by our studio before and you're interested in learning more about us, stop by, check us out. We're a really, really amazing studio, and we don't only teach classes, but it is super interesting to even just talk to the glassmakers. So come out and check out our gallery. We've got a ton of different items in the gallery that are all examples of similar processes that we teach. A lot of people now are super familiar with glassmaking because of the Blown Away series, and glassmaking is so much more complex than that. What we're seeing right now is the glass blowing studio, and what Blown Away really focuses on is glass blowing. But glass is super complex. There's so many different ways to work with it, so many different ways to play with it. Totally worth coming and checking it out. So the team right now is assembling those pre-made components. We talked a little bit about that, right? So I know you guys didn't see this part of the process. You didn't see us make all of these components, but you're gonna get to see it now. And it's kind of awesome because it's like a cool little surprise. So I told you guys this is gonna be a little desert scene. We're making a Christmas in the desert. So we've got a couple of cacti prepped. That's what the team is assembling right now. Now, you're gonna watch Clifton kind of managing heat really, really well. He is doing what we call flashing, which is occasionally heating the piece and letting it cool off, and then heating the piece and letting it cool off. Krista is selectively heating the spot where a component needs to be stuck. And Clifton's got to make sure none of those components get too hot, that they fold on each other or flop over or change shape. Now let me tell you, this is some delicate balance right here, because this isn't easy to do. It doesn't come naturally to people. It definitely takes skill and learning the material and understanding the material to be able to do this. So a lot of people get excited about glassmaking when they see these demos and they want to come in and make what we're making. And eventually, yes, you will be able to do that. But you got to start with something small and something simple, and then work your way up to this. So don't forget that if you're interested in coming and learning the basics, there's a bunch of glass studios in the area that you can do that. But we are the only nonprofit facility that will train you how to do it, as well as offer you the space to rent and practice. We are the only studio like that in the DFW Metroplex. All right. So we got some cacti happening right now in the flameworking studio as well, I think. Nick is on a torch. I think at least that he might be making a oh, no. Okay, so Nick has also prepped a bunch of parts, and he's got them set up in the flameworking studio. He did make these parts out of soft glass. We pulled him some cane, which are long rods of glass. And then he sculpted a couple of components that are going to go in this snow globe. So Nick is basically making sure that he gets these parts picked up. I think that's what he's doing right now. Can't quite see. But while he's doing that, the team is managing heat and keeping the heat in the piece. Can't just hang out with it because it'll get too cold. So we've got to keep flashing it while whatever else is happening for this piece. Nick, the team says they're almost ready.
All right, I'm about to punty up to it.
So Nick is going to punty up this piece that he's prepared. Which one are you doing first?
Snowman head.
Okay.
And then the hat.
Okay.
And then I think the cow skull last.
Okay, cool. So Nick prepared a bunch of things ahead of time. And we've got to keep them hot, right? So they're sitting in this annealer at about a little bit over 1,000 degrees. If the glass gets too cold, it will want to shatter.
Yeah.
So he's got to basically give it a little bit of heat, and then we're gonna walk it out to the glass blowing studio and stick it on this piece. So Clifton's got the spot ready. He's torching it. Nick is sticking it.
Hat. Here's that. Wait, hold that. This, thank you.
And then the next step is going to be to do the same thing with the hat that he prepared earlier. This thing is so freaking cool, you guys. I know that it's hard to see on camera, which is why if you're on our live stream right now, you should be coming in person to hang out. It's so, I mean, you can see the overall piece, but it's so hard to see the details of something like this. So Nick in the Flameworking studio is getting the next component ready, which I think is the hat.
Let's get the cowboy hat first.
So Nick is flashing the piece, the cowboy hat.
Got a hat? Point right at me.
And then Clifton's heating up the attachment, or where we're going to attach this hat. And then we're going to torch the connection. So you guys, I hope that you can see how intense this process can be. It's definitely a lot of teamwork, a lot of communication. And the team is really working together to make sure everyone knows what's happening and everyone's got sort of a plan of action for how they're putting this together. Now, I believe Nick's got a third component, the skull. You guys ready for the skull? No? Not yet? I don't think they're ready for the skull yet.
Shove you first.
we're doing a little bit of adjusting. All of these components are gonna slightly be moving if we're managing the heat correctly. The components are gonna move a little bit on us. And now these guys have been blowing glass for a while. I know you guys may not be familiar with our studio team, but they've been working together for a while. And each of them individually has tons of experience in these studios. So it's kind of cool to watch them all come together, and each of them coming to this piece with their own experience, their own background. But all of them know when something is a little too cold. They know how to manage heat, and that's pretty cool to watch. So the team is basically doing a little bit of finesse, just some adjustments. And now Nick is preparing the skull. So he's sculpted a skull that we're gonna add to this piece. In general, when we're working, we try our best to work from
Let me see one thing.
thicker to thinner, and the skull that he's prepared is definitely on the thinner side of things, more delicate component. So that's why we're putting this one on last. So you guys don't forget, if you've never seen glassmaking before and you're curious about glassmaking, come check out our demonstrations on the second Friday of every month. Especially if you've never watched glassmaking, especially if you've never watched glassmaking in person before. All right, Nick, one more flash. Alright, so Nick is flashing that last piece and he's making his way out here. And we're gonna stick this piece on. All right.
Yeah, it's on there. She went on there. Pretty good.
Very cool.
Take it off. true with it.
Yeah, and it's got a good reduction, like a texture to it. Don't heat it too much.
It looks dry.
Yeah. Alright,
Cool.
Super cool. So you guys, we're just working with the internal parts of the snow globe right now. The globe itself doesn't get attached until the end. So once the glass is cooled down, once the base is cool, that's when we will attach the globe. We don't attach the globe hot. Generally closed off bubbles in glass making is a bad idea because there's a lot of internal pressure once a form gets closed off. So once this form is done, it goes into a 900-degree oven. It cools down very, very slow down to room temperature so that it doesn't crack. And that's when we glue a big clear globe on it, make it a snow globe. So now we're done with all the sculpting. The main part of this part of the demo, the main goal is going to be to even out the heat. We ended up, when we were attaching all of these pieces, we did end up making some parts hotter, some parts got a little chillier. So we've got to make sure the heat is even kind of all the way through as best as we can. We don't want this thing to have hot and cold spots. So at this point, really once the heat is all even, we're gonna knock it off. You guys saw us put in that jack line earlier. The jack line was that constriction, and I was saying we're gonna break the piece off from that point. So Clifton is putting a tiny little bit of water in that constriction. That water is going to shock that area. And then a little bonk will cause the glass to break from that spot that we put the water on. The glass is super susceptible to thermal shock, right? So once that's done, the piece goes in the box at about 900 degrees. And it comes back down to room temperature nice and slow. Nice work, everyone. Nice work, team. Remember, if you guys missed this demonstration, this one only happens once a year, where we do the tree lighting and then we do a snow globe. But we do open studio night demonstrations once a month, every month, on the second Friday of every month. So come check us out, come hang out in person. These are completely free to come, bring your family, bring your friends, your spouse, all your loved ones, and come hang out with us. I'm gonna hand the mic off to Clifton just to give us some final words. But thanks if you guys were hanging out on our live stream. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks,
Thank you,
Clifton.
team.
High five.
High fives. High fives all around.
Have her cut the live. Hey, Amy, will you have her cut the live
Think
feed?
good?
The Longhorn.
It was kind of like a